Speaker, ma'am, furthermore, logic detects that if Section 97 of the Constitution gives Parliament the power to impeach the President, why shouldn't Parliament have the power to elect the President? The public and me, myself, and Matabele and North Province, where I come from, we support that this Parliament must elect the President. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I would like to add my voice to clause 4, 9, and 10.
Order. What is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. The Speaker seems to have violated order number 65 by particularly saying something that is not true. The South African Parliament has a proportional representation system by which you elect a political party. In contrast, Zimbabwe has a first-past-the-post system. So you cannot at all say they are the same systems in terms of electing the president. And I wish that should be corrected. If she can withdraw, thank you.
Your point of order has been noted. I'm sure Honor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Order.
Yes, Madam Speaker, ma'am. If that can be withdrawn.
Order. Please may you take your seat. Order.
Madam Speaker, if you note it without making a ruling that is out of order, then we won't proceed accordingly. There were lots of lies that were peddled yesterday, and we kept quiet because the norm is we debate. In South Africa, when MPs are elected, they go into the chamber and elect in the same manner that we are proposing. So it's out of order.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
You are out of order, Honorable Maleke.
I
am yet to give a ruling. Why are you standing? Honorable Member, I think you have your time to debate and put that straight.
The Minister of Justice, Madam Speaker, ma'am, is saying that people were debating and they chose not to respond with facts.
Honorable, we are not here to mark each other's debate.
No, I mean,
yes, we are not here.
We are here to say the truth of what happens in South.
No, take your seat. You have your time to debate, and you will say whatever you know is right. Thank you.
On a point of order.
Please take your seat. I'm not going to allow you to do that, Honorable Malekere. Please take.
To my own point of order.
Honorable Malekere.
You can't take away that right again. Last time it happened, we can't repeat this again. Jamba Japaotera. On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Malekere, I haven't acknowledged you. Please take your seat. Honorable Masuk, please may you proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. Thirdly, I will also add my voice to clause 4, 9, and 10 on the extension of the electoral cycle from 5 years to 7 years. Madam Speaker, ma'am, it is fundamentally true that development does not happen in 5 years print. Major infrastructure, economic recovery, and policy implementation die the moment the election season begins. We as have mentioned countless times, in a perpetual campaign mode, the public understand this very well. That is why they said it loudly, that elections paralyze the nation. Therefore, in adding just 2 years, we give the government a realistic horizon to finish projects without the constant government, without the constant drumbeat of politics. Moreover, His Excellency Dr. Mnangagwa has constantly said that Zimbabwe is open for business. We have seen the results of this mantra, and by adding just 2 more years, we tell investors that Zimbabwe's investment environment will not be threatened every 5 years, and that Zimbabwe is a safe investment destination. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I was in Bulawayo, Nkai, Bubi, Umkuza. People supported the bill, especially in Bulawayo.
Order, Honorable Masuku. Honorable Amauso.
My apology, Madam Speaker.
If you will repeat that, I will send you out. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. They supported the bill, especially in Bulawayo. And we say the voice of the people is the voice of God. Let's do what people want. On gender, Madam Speaker, ma'am, women are saying we want gender commission to remain as it is. I thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I will conclude by saying, by asking this House to pass this bill, including those who are not understanding it very well.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
What is the point of order?
The honorable member must withdraw the last statement where he said, including those who do not understand. Because we have a right to understand things differently in this House. Not everyone should be confused about everything.
Did she mention any names?
No, it's not parliamentary language, and it's divisive and demeaning. If I repeat that next time, I won't be having a point of order, because I'll do it next time, including those who do not understand. And if a point of order is not sustained, it will show that the speaker is biased.
You are out of order, Honorable Moleki.
I will repeat it next time.
Please
just
take
be
your seat. Honorable Thompson B.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Maita basa mbatu wechigaro nekundipa mkana kuti ndiso pfungwa yangu munhau iri mudariro. Mubati wechigaro ndinotsigira kuti mutungamiriri wenyika awedzerwe makore 2 ekutungamirira. Izvi zvinoita kuti mabasa agone kupedzeswa nemunhu akamatanga. Zvinodzora mhirizhonga munyika padiki padiki. Kazhinji mhirizhonga inowanza kuvhiringidza vana amai nevana. Zvekare mari inenge yave kuenda kubudiriro kwete kusarudzo. Mubati wechigaro handitsigire kuti bandiko regender commission ribviswe. Mubati wechigaro bandiko iri rakabatsira uye richiri kubatsira madzimai nevanasikana kuti vagone kuzvimiririra kunyanya kunhau dzemhirizhonga mudzimba kana kumabasa nechibharo zvakare. Kuburikidza nebandiko iri, tiri kuona munyika muno madzimai ari kupinda muzvidanho zvepamusoro zvinotipa muono wekuti musha mukadzi. Bandiko iri ngaritowedzerwa mari nekupiwa rimwe simba ishande kuvandudza budiriro yemadzimai nekuvandudza nyika. Mubati wechigaro ndinotsigira kusarudzwa kwemutungamiriri wenyika muparamende. Mubati wechigaro kuva mumiririri muparamende zvinoratidza tsigiro nekuvimbwa nevanhu kwatinenge tabva. Zvinoita zvekare kuti vanenge vakutuma kuti zvavanenge vakutuma ndizvo zvaunosarudza. Naizvozvo vamiririri ngavapiwe simba rekusarudza mutungamiriri wenyika. Maita basa mubati wechigaro.
Thank you, Honorable Thompson. Next to take the floor is Honorable Kuka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I'm grateful for the opportunity to add my voice to this important debate on Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I rise representing the good people of Mkoba in Gweru, Midlands Province. I wish to register my concern that a number of citizens from my constituency did not get an opportunity to air their views during public consultations due to the venues that were located far from their areas.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
However,
Point of order.
They have sent me.
Honorable Kuka waltaura kuti parumira vanhu vemukoba akavataura kuti mukoba ipi. Inini ndiriumirira mukoba North Constituency. Noted.
Honorable Kuka, taurai kuti mukoba yenyu ndeipi nokuti mukoba yevavavo vanhu vari kuda CAB3. Taurai weyenyu mimi kuti ndeipi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I know that Mkoba is one. However, they have sent me as their...
Honorable Kuka.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Honorable.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
May we have order in the House?
Madam
May
Speaker.
we have order? May we have order? May we have order? Honorable member, Mati imimi mukoba yenyu ndeipi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Inini ndirimukoba North Constituency. Honorable Kuka vasanyepe kuti vanhu vemukoba North vakataura navo havanambotaura nevanhu vemukoba North. Vanhu vemukoba North vakauya kuzoteerera.
Ndazvinzwa. Honorable Kuka, taurai kuti mukoba yenyu ndeipi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I'm from Koba South constituency. However, they have sent me as their representative to stand in for them. I will therefore proceed straight to my opposition to clause 3 of the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, which seeks to change the election of the president from a direct vote by the people of Zimbabwe to an election by parliament. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, the Joint Committee states that electing the president through parliament will reduce the significant financial costs associated with conducting nationwide presidential election. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, while cost efficiency is important, democracy should never be measured solely by financial considerations. The right of citizens to directly elect their head of state is a fundamental democratic principle that cannot be sacrificed by merely to reduce electoral expenditure. A direct presidential election gives every citizen an equal opportunity to determine who leads the nation. It compels presidential candidates to engage directly with the people, present their policies, explain their vision for the country, and seek a mandate from the electorate. Citizens are therefore able to make informed decisions based on the programs and the promises presented before them. Furthermore, direct elections promote accountability. A president who receives a mandate directly from the people knows that his or her continued tenure depends on delivering on promises made to the electorate. If citizens are dissatisfied with the performance of a president, they have the constitutional right at the next election to choose another candidate. This strengthens democratic accountability and responsive to public needs. In contrast, electing a president through parliament would significantly weaken the direct relationship between the president and the people. Such a system risks reducing the office of the president to one chosen by a relatively small group of individuals rather than by millions of citizens. In practical terms, election by parliament closely resembles appointment by parliament. The president would derive legitimacy primarily from members of parliament rather than from the people themselves. The committee's report further states that previous presidential elections have been characterized by violence and disputes over election results. However, political violence and electoral disputes have not been confined to presidential elections alone. Similar challenges have been witnessed in parliamentary and local authorities elections. Therefore, changing the method of electing the president does not address the root cause of electoral violence. The real solution lies in strengthening institutions enforcing the law impartially and ensuring that law enforcement agencies are allowed to perform their duties without political interference. Those responsible for violence should be held accountable regardless of their political status. Once perpetrators face justice, citizens will be free to exercise their democratic rights peacefully and without intimidation. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, this proposal is also retrogressive. It threatens to reverse important democratic gains achieved since independence. It undermines the constitutional principle of one man, one vote, which ensures that every citizen's voice carries equal weight in determining the leadership of the nation. It is important to distinguish between the office of the Speaker of Parliament and that of the President. The Speaker is elected by members of Parliament because the Speaker's primary responsibility is to preside over and manage the affairs of Parliament. The Speaker serves the House and is therefore appropriately chosen by members who constitute their House. The President, however, is the head of state and government for all Zimbabweans. The President exercises authority over national affairs affecting every citizen in every province, district, ward, and village across the country. Such a mandate should not be conferred by a few members of Parliament alone. It should come directly from the people through the ballot box.
Order, what is your point of order?
Honorable Amauskwano, Honorable Warumanikidza, Honorable Taura Kutiva debate series on Parliament.
Honorable, you are out of order. Proceed, Honorable Okuka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. A handful of members of parliament cannot substitute the collective will of millions of Zimbabwe citizens. Parliament, important as it is, represents only a fraction of the national electorate. The sovereignty authority of the people must remain supreme in the selection of the president. For these reasons, I respectfully submit that Clause 3 should be rejected as it diminishes popular sovereignty, weakens democratic accountability, undermines the principle of one man, one vote, and reduces citizens' direct participation in choosing their national leader. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I now turn to Clause 21, amendment of Section 281. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I oppose any proposal to allow traditional leaders, particularly chiefs, to participate in partisan politics. Section 280 and 281, subsection 2 of the Constitution are clear. Chiefs are not ordinarily public office holders. Their authority is hereditary, derived from custom and traditional, not elections. They must not be members of any political party, participate in partisan politics, or act in a partisan manner. Chiefs serve all people with their jurisdiction, regardless of political affiliation. Once a chief becomes a politician, politically aligned, community members from opposing parties will lose confidence in his or her ability to act fairly and impartially. Section 282 assigns chiefs critical constitutional functions, custodians of culture and heritage, administrators of communal land, protectors of the environment, and mediators of disputes through customary law. These roles demand independence and neutrality. A chief who openly supports a political party cannot effectively mediate disputes between opposing supporters. Like judges, we must remain impartial. Chief exercise judicial functions that require fairness and public trust. Political affiliation compromises that trust. Furthermore, chiefs play a central role in distributing food aid, agricultural inputs, and community development programs. Partisan involvement risks creating the perception that resources are distributed on political grounds rather than need. Traditional leaders unite communities. Political leaders compete for support. These two sources of authorities serve different constitutional purposes and must remain separate. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, for these reasons, I submit that chiefs must remain non-partisan and continue to serve as unifying figures for all Zimbabweans. I now turn to the proposed repeal of Section 246, Zimbabwe Gender Commission. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I oppose the merger of Zimbabwe Gender Commission with the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. Section 246 establishes the Gender Commission with a specialized gender-focused mandate that requires dedicated expertise. Merging the two risks diluting that mandate and weakening gender mainstreaming across sections. Sensitive complaints involving gender-based violence, intimidation, and stigma require an institution where survivors feel understood and protected. The Gender Commission's advocacy led to current consultation by the Ministry of Justice and establishing a National Sex Offenders Register. Its 2022 National Inquiry on Child Marriage produced strategic interventions to protect girls from abuse and sexual exploitation. A merged commission will face resources competition between general human rights issues and these specialized gender priorities, jeopardizing accountability mechanism like sex offenders register. The Constitution deliberate created a stand-alone gender commission. We must not abandon that institutional mechanism for future legal reform and constitutional alignment on gender equality. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I therefore humbly urge this August House to uphold constitutional principles, protect democratic gains, and reject this bill in defense of the people of Zimbabwe. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Kuka. Honorable V. Mutokonyi.
Maita basa mubati wechigaro ndasumuka kutsigira vandudzo yebumbiro remutemo kechitatu. Vanoremekedzwa mubati wechigaro, nyika nenyika ine nhoroondo yayo kuti inge imire pairi. Iyo Zimbabwe pairi apa ine nhoroondo yayo, ende tiri mukati zvakare mukugadzira imwe nhoroondo yekuvandudzwa kwebumbiro remutemo. Vambotaura kumashure vataura vachiti bumbiro remutemo iri igwaro rinorarama, kureva kuti igwaro rinofanira kunge richitaura mune zviitiko zviri kuenderana nenguva yatinenge tiri. Ende zvakare tisu tinokwanisa kuvandudza mutemo, nekuti mutemo unotovandudzwa nevanhu. Tiri mukati merinodare tiri kumirira ruzhinji rweZimbabwe. Saka naizvozvo Zimbabwe yese tiri kuitaurira tiri muno kudaro. Mubati wechigaro, bumbiro remutemo riri kuda kuvandudza kuwedzerwa kwenguva panozoitwa ma-elections, panozoitwa sarudzo. Ndinobvumirana nekutsigirana nekuvandudzwa ikoko nezvikonzero zvinotevera. Zvakaonekwa mubati wechigaro kuti sarudzo idzi dzinotora nguva yakawanda kugadzirira, dzinotora pfuma yakawanda kuti dziitwe. Nekudaro tikange tawedzera nguva kubva pamakore 5 kuenda pamakore 9, zvinenge zvichireva zvakare kuti tinenge tadzikisa pfuma yanga ichifanira kunge ichishanda mumakore 5 oga oga. Ndakateerera vanoremekedzwa vamapiki vakataura pfuma dzakashanda kumasarudzo ese akapfuura kumashure uku, vachipedzisira ne2023, gore ra2023, kuti kwakashanda pfuma zhinji kwazvo inosvika kuma160 million. Imari yakawanda chose mubati wechigaro. Saka ndinobvumirana nekuti kana tichinge tawedzera nguva yacho zvinopa nguva mukana wekuti pfumawo inge inoreruka ndochekutanga. Zvakare mukuwedzerwa kwaizvozvo mubati wechigaro, zvakanyanyokosha kuti ticherechedze zvinangwa. Tambotaura pekutanga kuti kana tiri kuvandudza mutemo tiri kuvandudza kuti utaure mune zvatiri kuda munguva yatiri. Saka kana tiri kuvandudza tiri kuona kuti zvataona tega isu pauya hurumende yechipiri, yandikati second republic pachirungu, zvizhinji tazviona zvaitika munguva yakareba kubvira muna 2018 kusvika patiri nhasi pano. Izvozvo ndo zvinokwanisa kutiratidza futi kuti kana tichinge tichida kufamba nhambo zhinji dzekuti tiende mberi, panodikanwa nguva yakareba yekushandura, yekuunza budiriro sezvatiri kuona. Saka naizvozvo ndinobvumirana neizvozvo. Zvakare mubati wechigaro zvakaonekwa zvakare kuti sarudzo dzedu idzi patinodziita dzinoti torei nguva nyanye munguva dzevanozochema vachienda kumatare edzimhosva, vachinoti kunoku hazvina kutifambira zvakanaka. Asi kana sarudzo dzichiitwa muno matiri muno mubati wechigaro takabatana neUpper House, tinenge tiri vashoma ende zvinoitwa pajekerere, pajekeso zvakachena.
anenge ahwina anobva angohwina zvinobva zvangoperera pano. Hapana achazoenda kunoti ndabirirwa nekuti mabhaloti uko azofamba akadai uko hatina kuzaona. Saka izvozvo zvakanyanyonaka mubato wechigaro kuti dare rino reparamendi ringe rine simba rekuti risarudze mutungamiriri wenyika warinoda. Ndinotsigirana nekuvandudza ikoko mubato wechigaro. Zvakare mubato wechigaro zvambotaurwa nevamwe kumashure, ndichazvidzokorodzawo nekuti zvakanyanyokosha izvozvo kuti isu kana tirisu takwanisa kuti tivhotere mutungamiriri wenyika watinoda. Bumbiro remutemo riripo rinotaura nhau yekuti kana pakuda kuti pabviswe mutungamiriri wenyika ndiro dare rimwe chete rinokwanisa kuita izvozvo. Saka zvakanyanyokosha kuti isu vanenge vabvumidzwa neruzhinji rweZimbabwe kuti tipinze mutungamiriri wenyika, tisu zvakare tinenge tabvumidzwa neruzhinji rweZimbabwe kuti tibvise. Saka ndinotsigirana nekuvandudzwa kwechibatiko ichocho mubato wechigaro. Mubato wechigaro bumbiro remutemo rekuda kuvandudza riri kutaura kuvandudzwa kwekuti vasarudzwi vatongi vedu vatingati majudges vange vachikwanisa kusarudzwa zvine chekuitawo nemutungamiriri wenyika. Izvozvo ndinotsigirana nazvo kuti mutungamiriri wenyika vange varipo pakusarudza panenge pachiitwa nhaurirano dzacho vakabatana nekomisheni yeJudiciary Service Commission. Zvakanyanyokosha nekuti hazvitanga kuitika kuti zviitike kuno. Tateerera nhaurirano zhinji dzataurwa muno, nyika dzakawanda dziri kuita mashandiro iwayo ekuti kana vachisarudza vatungamiriri venyika vatongi zviri kuitwa zvine mukuru wenyika. Izvozvo tinobvumirana nazvo nekuti sei ndichidaro zvinoreva kuti mukuru wenyika, mutungamiriri wenyika ndiye anenge akahaka chitima, akadhonza chitima chose chenyika mukati mezvose. Saka pamwe pacho zvakakoshawo kuti anga achiziva kuti vatongi vauya kumabhenji uku ndavanani, vakamira sei. Izvozvo zvakanyanyokosha mutungamiriri wenyika takatarisana nekufambisa nyika ichienda mberi. Zvakare mubato wechigaro kuvandudzwa kwebumbiro remutemo kechitatu kuri kutaura nhau yekuti mamwe mabasa ema-elections asudurutswe abviswe ku-election commission aende kuna registrar, particularly nhau yekuchengetedzwa kwemazita, kugadzirwa kwemazita evachavhota, vanovhota. Zvakanyanyokosha izvozvo kusudurudza mabasa iwayo nekuti mabasa mairi akatoti siyanei. Saka election commission yedu inogona kuzoremerwa nemabasa ese iwayo nekuti iyo ndiyo ine basa rekurana election, iyo ndiyo ine basa yekunodzidzisa vanhu, iyo ndiyo ine basa yekuita zvizhinji zvinoitika nekuti muelection munoitika zvinhu zvakawanda strike. Saka chidimbu ichocho chekuti kunyorwa kwemazita evavhoti, kuchengetedzwa kwawo kuende kwaregistrar general, ndinobvumirana nacho nekuti izvi zvinoita kuti maelection edu anyasofamba zvakanaka, zvakachena, zvisina tsvete mubato wechigaro. Ndakateerera nezuro honorable Matsunga vachitaura vachitiwo hama dzavo dzakashaya vashakabu vachiri kungowanikwa muvoters roll. Saka izvozvo ndozvimwe zvacho zvinobva zvaitwa zvigadziriswe nekuti zvinenge zvakuitwa nevaridzi vazvo vanonyora mabirth certificate, variwo futi vanonyora zvakare magwaro evashakabu. Mubato wechigaro kuvandudzwa kwedu kwebumbiro remutemo kuri kutaura nhau yemadzimambo. Madzimambo edu isu takakura tichitoziva kuti madzimambo kubvira kumashure kwese uku ndiwo vakagara vari ngori vatongi kusati kwaunzwa utongi hwavako hwakauya nevarungu, kureva kuti vaitenge vari mune zvematongerwo enyika. Saka naizvozvo hapana chakaipa kuti iwo madzimambo edu anga arimo munhaurirano idzodzo, varimo mukuita zvematongerwo enyika nekuti vanhuwo vakangofanana nesu tose. Saka vanokwanisa kunge vachisarudza mativa avanoda mune zvematongerwo enyika. Saka ndinobvumirana nevandudzo yechikamu ichocho kuti aiwa ngachivandudzwe, vapuhwo mukana madzimambo edu emukati meno nyika. Mubato wechigaro
ndiri kutaura izvi ndakamirira vanhu vekwasvosve kwandinobva. Vanhu vekwasvosve vakabva vati zvakare endai munotaura panhau yegender commission. Vakatanga vandibvunza vakati iri kumbobvisirwei gender commission inai honorable. Ndikati ayo ndosaka iri kunzi amendment, proposed amendment. Chinangwa chacho vanoda kuzvibatanidza nehuman rights. Ivo vekwasvosve vakati havabvumirane nekuvandudzwa nekubviswa kwegender commission kuti inoiswa muhuman rights. Vari kuti ngaimire yakamira yega yakadaro. Zvikonzero zvavakataura ndezvekuti vakatiwo payakambenge yamiswa yakanga yamisirwei chekutanga, nekuti pamupato tinogona kusaziva yakamisirwei. Zvobva zvazikanwa nevakazivawo ndichivabatsirawo ndikati aiwa yakamiswa kuti inge ichiwanisa kuenzanisa mikana mukati mekugarikana madzimai nevarume zvose zvakare, nekuti vese ivavo vari kuwanikwa vari mujenda. Jenda haisi yemadzimai chete, asi yakazonyanyoonekwa kuti yakabatsiridza ende iri kubatsiridza ugaro hwakanaka kumadzimai, nhau dzemirizhonga, nhau dzesimudziro, budiriro yemumaruwa, budiriro yemadzimai mukati menyika. Saka yakanyanyokosha. Saka zvabva zvanzi nevanhu vokwasvosve aiwa gender commission ngaingoramba yakamira yakadaro mubato wechigaro. Mubato wechigaro ndataura inini kuti kuvandudzwa kwemutemo kunoitwa nesu isu tiri pano. Ende bumbiro riri kutaura zvakare kuti paiswe komisheni inenge ichiona nezvekuona zvemiganhu. Ndinobvumirana nazvo izvozvo kuti komisheni iyoyo inge iripo, nekuti komisheni ine basa guru. Ende ndinoona sekuti vashandi vanenge vachishanda mukomisheni iyoyi ibasa rakanyanyokosha rinoda uchenjeri neutesva mukati mehunyanzvi hwebasa iroro. Saka zvakanaka kuti kunge kune komisheni inenge ichitarisa zvemiganhu, nekuti miganhu inoramba ichishanda kwanguva nenguva mubato wechigaro nekuda kwekuchinja kweuwandu hwevanhu nekuda kwekuchinjana kwezvinosiyana siyana. Saka ndinobvumirana nekutsigirana nemuono iwoyo. Kuchipedzisa mutauro wangu mubato wechigaro, bumbiro remutemo riri kuda kuvandudza kuti maseneta vange vachiwedzerwa kuti vaende pa90. Ende ichiti maseneta iwayo zvakare vemuupper house vange vachipuwa mukana wekusarudzwa nemutungamiriri wenyika. Ndinobvumirana nebumbiro iri nekuda kuvandudzwa uku. Zvakanyanyokoshere chii? Zvakakosha kuti mukuru wenyika pavanenge vakadhonza chitima chebudiriro vanofanira kuchihaka vaine vanhu vane uchenjeri, vaine vanhu vane ruzivo wezvakasiyana siyana. Saka kuti budiriro iitike zvakakosha kuti vange vachikwanisa kusarudza gumi remaseneta iwayo vavanenge vachiona iwo kuti vanovada kunge vange varimo mukutaurwa, mukuvandudzwa, mukuitwa mukati madiscussion anenge achiitwa mukati medare rino, mukati medare riri pamusoro vange varipo. Saka ndinobvumirana nevandudzo iyoyo mubato wechigaro. Ndiri kutaura ndakamirira vanhu vekwasvosve vakataura musi wakauya vatauriri kumarondera district, vanhu vakanyora masubmissions ese atanzwa pano 537 ari kusanganisirawo emarondera east constituency. Mubato wechigaro ndinotenda.
Tinotenda mazvita. Honorable Pindudzo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I rise to support the Constitution Amendment Bill number 3 because of its progressive nature for developmental programs. If you look at some projects that government embarks on they cannot be done over a short period of time, like 5 years. It is therefore critical that any programs embarked on be done over a long period, like 7 years proposed. Itself boosts investors' confidence and policy stability, which is an essential ingredient for development. It also helps to ensure that any fears relating to policy changes before the completion of projects are allayed if the period is longer. This is basically what CAB3 seeks to do. People who vote for MPs into the office to represent them, so indirectly the MPs are the people's voice. Whatever the MP says is the voice of the people. So when the MPs vote for the president, it is the people that who have voted. It is much easier for the MPs to liaise with the office of president at any time as compared to crowds of people who may not even have the opportunity to seek, to all speak out their concerns and be heard at the same time. Constitution Amendment Bill number 3 makes it possible for the MPs to articulate challenges that matter to citizens whenever they have access to executive, and this is possible when the same MPs directly vote for the president in parliament. Madam Speaker, ma'am, the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 strongly emphasizes strengthening of constitutional governance. It gives government time to plan and finish programs and the projects like hospitals, road infrastructure, and resources mobilization, among others. Such a scenario allows for real governance as 7 years compared to 5 years. This is adequate, tangible fruition to be realized. Constitutional Amendment Bill 3 allows the policy continuity because election disrupt program sustenance. CAB3 allows the policy continuity because elections disrupt program sustenance. This goes a long way in a consolidating development strategy. CAB3 will create more peace and less division among parties and citizens at large. It also encourages the development of the country, and it also brings efficiency in the allocation and disbursement of our resources, something which has over the years been affected by election in a 5-year cycle, where in most cases there's been police paralysis. By this, I mean that whenever there are elections, the country goes into an election mode and policy implementation suffers. The proposal to have the president elected by the parliament will go a long way in ensuring faster results, as this will be decided the same day. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I also support the appointment of extra 10 senators with professional skills will be an added advantage to our democracy. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, ma'am, 7-year term proposed in CAB has already been applied by other countries as a yardstick, and our own proposal will definitely align with the African practice. I support this amendment bill, and people from South fully support this amendment bill. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ndodzo. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Elmove.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity to add my voice on this very pertinent debate pertaining to the Amendment Bill number 3 of the Constitution. The proposal amendment purports to align governance with NDS 2, which seeks to achieve and align governance timelines, strengthening institution efficiency, and creating space to complete critical national projects. These projects are full road rehabilitation, rural electrification, Gwai Shangani Dam, health facility upgrade, total railway resuscitation infrastructure upgrades, and ICT infrastructure require time and policy continuity to succeed. Madam Speaker, my rural home is in Mat South Province at a village named Kohole in Matopo District. My experience over 3 decades as a development worker in the NGO sector in Mart North, Mart South and Midlands, doing entrepreneurial projects, harnessing water through sand abstraction means in rivers in order to promote irrigation of small-scale income-generating garden projects, which we namely term business units today, has made me understand their levels of poverty in their respective homes. Being a legislator has given me vast knowledge about societal issues associated with rural and urban women in their respective homes too. In Parliament, I represent women in Bulawayo Metropolitan Province. Madam Speaker, Clause 4, which proposes the extension of presidential term limit from 5 years, is a welcome trail that these villagers envisage, and they term it as salvation to their plight. Clause 9 to 10 also speaks of aligning the presidential cycle and calendar to match the term of the presidential extension term. These villagers also see it as an idea that the parliamentarians have a great mandate to vote for the president, since they represent the masses. Our neighbors are already accustomed to that practice, South Africa, and there is prosperity in their countries. Having spoken about Matabeleland region's fate of being in region 4 and 5, where most communal areas are prone to drought, villagers feel the effects of climate change has worsened their situation. Madam Speaker, therefore, their sentiments are a hope that projects like Waishangani Dam, full road rehabilitation, rural electrification, health facility upgrades, total resuscitation infrastructure upgrades, railway infrastructure and ICT infrastructure that are in line with NDS2 will be a dream come true. Madam Speaker, these projects require time and policy continuity to succeed. Alignment of elections may save the country billions of dollars, so they say, and they can be channeled to long-term development projects like building rehabilitation centers province by province, so as to assist our youth who need to recuperate from the scourge of drugs and substance abuse. Madam Speaker, I will touch on the Gender Commission issue. Clause 17 and 8 to dissolve the Gender Commission ZGC and be absorbed its legal mandate into the Human Rights Commission ZHRC. Madam Speaker, in my view, the independence vested in the ZGC should be respected as a standalone for the Gender Commission to carry its mandate accordingly. As utmost privacy, for example, gender-based violence, discrimination at workplaces, unfair policies in private companies, political party dimensions. Without independence, Madam Speaker, there is risk it can only target easy cases, avoiding sensitive involving powerful actors, and might undermine NDS2's goals of inclusive development. Madam Speaker, protection of vulnerable groups like women, girls, persons with disabilities need a direct watchdog that won't be silenced when issues are controversial, as independence only speaks about its independence also speaks about child marriages, political violence without approval from the executives. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I advocate for it to remain functional and carry out its mandate. We actually need to strengthen it in this august house, in my view. However, having spoken about the people I've been working with and whom I represent, The people of Bulawayo have this message that comes with conditions. Number 1, robust public consultations. The buy-in challenge must be addressed properly. Parliament should conduct transparent consultations so as to allow citizens to understand and own this amendment. No amendment of this magnitude should move forward without the people's voice. Number 2, strong safeguards. If term continuity is granted, it must be ring-fenced. The amendment should include clear limits, oversight mechanisms, and clauses that prevent future abuse. It needs to be protected Zimbabwe's democratic principles and term limit culture for all future leaders. Number 3, institutional strengthening. Continuity should not replace accountability. Parallel reforms are needed to strengthen Parliament, the judiciary, and anti-corruption bodies so that executive powers is always balanced. If these conditions are met, then the people of Bulawayo are saying constitutional amendment can be a tool for delivery without compromising democracy. Development and constitutionalism must advance together. Zimbabwe deserves both. Madam Speaker, they further say they support the goals of the bill, but only if Parliament ensures it is done right with the full consent of the citizenry. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Nwe. Honorable Araziki.
Maita basa, Madam Speaker, nekundipawo mukana kuti ndive ndinoisawo mashoko maviri panhahurwa yakaiswa muno mudare reParliament tichitarisana nenyaya yeCAB3. Ndinoda kutanga nekutenda tsanangudzo dzatakapiwa pano nemaproposal nemukuru anotungamirira government muno muParliament waZimbabwe. Hapana pavakasiya pangade kuwedzerwa, zvese zvakabuda jekerere. Ini ndakamira pano ndiri kumiririra Hurungwe haikona constituency, ndiri kumiririra 5 maconstituency, ndiro andinotungamirira. Ndini DCC chairman. Every structure yemusangano.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order, Honorable Ziki. Honorable Ziki, order. What is the point of order?
Honorable Speaker, when we come here, we don't come to declare our positions in our respective parties. We are honorable members here. The debate must not focus on him being a DCC member or on his cells or structures in ZANU-PF. He must debate as a member of Parliament, and his expressions must reflect the generality of the constituency that he represents, not ZANU-PF structures. Madam Speaker, he must stand guided.
Honorable Ziki, enderera henyu mberi asi. Order. Asi musataure zvigaro zvenyu zvekumusangano. Enderera henyu mberi.
Madam Speaker, he must withdraw.
Madam Speaker, ndanga ndichida kurakidza huwandu hudzamu hwevanhu vari kumashure. Vanhu vandituma pano kuti vakawanda sei kubudikidza ne5 maconstituencies wayo. Shoko randatuma naro pano.
On a point of order, Madam
Honorable
Speaker.
Ziki, taurai muchimirira constituency yenyu.
Zvakanakai. Pamusoro pemamwe maconstituency andinomiririra yangu Hurungwe Central. Ndatumwa pano kuzotaura kuti section inotaura bandiko rinotaura nezvekuwedzerwa kwetemu yemutungamiriri wenyika kubva pa5 years kuenda pa2 years kuenda pa7 years yakanaka. Tichibatanidza zvakare.
Point of order. Point of order.
Muda kumugadzirisa kuti ati kubva pa5 years kuenda pa2 years. It's a slip of the tongue.
Slip of the tongue, yes.
That's the point of order. Point of order.
Ngatiite kuti basa rifambe.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Zeyei.
Tikuda kuti vanhu vadhibhete zviri mbiro.
You are out of order. Handei mberi.
Madam Speaker, ma'am, izvi zvichibatanidzira netemu nenguva yema-MPs nema-councillors. Izvi zvinhu zvakanakira kuti iko nguva yekushanda inobva yawedzerwa. Tanga tichiona isu kwatabva kumashure kubva panguva dzema-election. First 2 years zvichibva makore maviri ekutanga tichibva pa-election. Tinobva tatoona vanhu vatonyuka kare vanenge vakutokambena. Gore rekunozopinda gore rechi3 yatove campaign. Rechitatu yatove campaign. Kureva kuti nguva yekushanda yanga isingawaniki yakakwana. Handichanyanyi kutonongodza zvakanyanya kuwanda nekuti zvizhinji zvatotaurwa pano. Asi ndinoda kuti iko imwe bandiko futi zvakare rinoenderana nekuvhoterwa kwapresident kuti raakuuya kuno kuimba yeparliament vanobvumirana nazvo zvakare vachizvikurudzira zvakanyanya nekuda kwekuti tikatarisa kumashure tanga taakutongoona kana ana pombi adonha vaakuda kuita mapresident vaakutongofamba vachidzi excellency. Apa paakuzomira president. Vakanga vatondiudza zvakare kuti iko kuti vanada kuti president vaida kuti tingoaplya kumunhu umwe chete. Tikati aiwa imwe yayemwe nyaya iyi. Dare rino reparliament ndiro rinogona zviri pamutemo kubisa president. Saka zvanga zvakangonaka zvakare kuti rigone rino rinogadza. Kana riri rinogona kubvisa ngarive rinogona kugadza. Ndobva ipapo ndoenda panyaya yevoter registration kuendeswa kuofisi yekwa RG. Kwainzi kwamudede kutaurwa kwazviri kuita kune vamwe ndisingazvide uko. Izvi zvakatinakira nekuti tsanangudzo dzese dzapiwa pano ndokunoitwa mabirth certificate ndovanonyora magwaro ekuzvarwa kwevanhu ndovanoona nezvekufa kwevanhu. Maghosti kana kuti zvipoko zvatati tichiona pama voters roll hatizozviwani ndokuda kwekuti zvese zvinhu zvinogadzirwa zvichibikwa neimba imwe chete. Ndichibva ipapo ndiri kuenda pane madzimambo. Madzimambo vanga vachida kuti vachengetedzwe panyaya yekuti vasambunyikidzwe vachiendeswa kumatare ekutiko vapinda munyaya dzezvematongerwo enyika. Tichitarisa kumashure sekutaura kwazvaita nevamwe vataura ndisati ndatsimuka, madzimambo ndo vakarwa hondo iyoyi, ndo vaipa vana chikafu, vaipa vana hembe, vaipa vana zvose, vaipa vana uteshi kuti kwakamira sei, munofamba sei vana. Vamwe vachitokurosesa vana kuenda kuhondo, izvo zvanga zvipupurwa nemurungu aive asingazvifariri. Ndoenda panyaya yemaseneta. Nyaya yemaseneta, bandiko rinotsvaka kuti iko president vazowedzera maseneta 10 ndinowirirana naro, nekuda kwekuti kana tichiuya pano hongu tinouya tichibva kunzvimbo dzakasiyana-siyana nehuteshi hwakasiyana-siyana, asi kuna vamwe vanhu vanenge vakateshera kupfuura vamwe zvichienderana nemagwanza eupenyu avanenge vachibva, avo vanenge vachidiwa kuti vazosevenza nehurumende kana napresident. Saka zvinovapa mukana wakanaka wokutsvaka vanhu vakadaro kuti vazobatsirwa basa rigofamba zvakanaka. Saka izvozvo zvinosapotwa zvakanyanya. Ndingangoti muchidimbu bill CAB3 tiri kuisapota zvakanyanya kubva kuhurungwe yose. Hapana kana pairi kupokana nayo, hurungwe yose inoti endererai mberi.
Mazvita
ndisati ndapedza, Madam Speaker ma'am, ndawana shoko kubva kumusha kutaura kuti iko iye zvino nhoroondo dzavepo dzose dzafanana, ko makamirirei, machingodii machingopedza. Ndikati aiwa ngatiite pore pore, tinopedza iye zvino maita basa.
Mazvita Honorable Ziki, Honorable Tindo.
Ndimasiari muchimbidza mushumo nduni khulwane ya parliament ya Zimbabwe. Ndichiri chauthoma ndikotoda ulevhuwa nga maanḓesa nga ramulayo wa shango Vho Ziyambi kha u ḓa vha ṱanḓavhudza tshoṱhe nga mulayotibe ri na khou vha ngawo namusi wa bill number 3 wa shango. Vho vhala vha valulula vha ṱanzilela uri hei bill number 3 ino khou vha ndi CAB3 hoyu mulayotibe u ḓo thusa nga shango, ende u henefho hoyu mulayo vho riṋe sa vhathu vha shango kana vhane vhe shango ri ḓo thusalea hani. Zwino ndi khou ri zwo vhonala hu si kale hei bill na u phasa i sathu phasa kha nḓilani uri hoyu mulayotewa kana mulayotibe u khou yo ḓisa rine ra ri nga tshikhuwa peace, u farana na mulalo wa shango. Ha ḓo dovha havho kharali ra tevheledza zwavhuḓi zwa ṱuwa hu ḓo vha na nyaluwo ya ikonomi ya shango, ngauri ikonomi ya shango i nga si aluwi kharali hu na pfudzumbuli. Zwino nga maanḓa hafha ndi ḓo ṱoḓa uri ndi ambe nga clause 2. Hei clause 2 i khou amba nga uri Karali hei mulayo tibe wapasiswa wachimbira zvavhuḓi. Ri dova na manda a uri parliament ndiyo ine khou chooser mufari wa shango, bo president va shango. Zwi dova zwi tshi bva hafha nḓuni hei. Ende president va shango vha tshi chooswa nga nnyi, vha tshi chooswa nga vhone vhathu vho khethiwaho ngei fhasi. A thi ri vha members of parliament vha khou vha vho khethiwa nga vhathu, vha khou vha vho fhiwa maanḓa eneyo. Vho tou fhiwa maanḓa ayo vha khou exercise power dzavho futhi uri vha khethe murangaphanḓa wa shango. Zwino khou vha ndi tshithu tshavhuḓi nga maanḓa, ri a tendelana nazwo. Zwi zwi henefho ndi zwa uri hoyu mulayotibe a khou itiwa Zimbabwe fhedzi mashango, wo itiwa mashangoni manzhi. Sa tsumbo, ri na mashango a no nga vho Botswana, vhahura vha vho riṋe hafha tsini. Ri na shango ḽi no nga South Africa, na vhone vha khou ita zwezwi, vho vhona zwo tea. Zwino na vho riṋe ri ri ha ra litsha hani u ita hei kana u sapota hei bill number 3 ngauri i khou
Point of order. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Ndo, what is your point of order?
Ra chikombela uri honorable member vasingozvifa pano. Ngauri vari mamwe mashango akuita zvofana nazvo zvinoita pano. Vasingambanga zvavo Botswana vachiri voita zvinofana nezvinoita pano. Hauna zvavo zvoita Botswana. So vakozvifa kavambe ngou vachidebata.
Order, Honorable Ndo, order. Muchazongotaurawo zvamunoziva zvechokwadi chamuri kuziva imimi. Handererei mberi, Honorable Ndo.
Ndikoliwa mwambi wa parliament ndidove ndiri hai. Hoyo muthu andokori ndikozvifa hadzivi Luvenḓa, ukotosokoisa apa na apa, asi zvone ndezvayamba, asi zvone ndezvayamba. Ri hanefho ndiri nendororumiwa nga phuli ya 1000 na phuli ya Matibe vanakova ndi phuli ire Beitbridge. Vontuma uri hemna tusanisa mwana wavo ride riela ngei parliament usvika uvavudze ende utandavudze vadadzisela nga zvitu zvina zvari masubmissions zvevamwala vone vatu uri zvisvike mapepa awone ade angeno parliament na zvinoradhisa uri rikotama uri risekele hei ndayetewa inokoda ya bill number 3 risapetela choko rohwala masaga magogo na magogo amabhambiri rinawo audhone nepaparliament. Zvino ndichiri kapuli yei lani yontumawo inokova ndi ya 1000 na ya Matibe hapala ni mutangano ni raita vorutumba kakahorwe ndiri ndakuvonela kwanga hei bili kana ndaitewo kana mulaitibe uri unokouda uyu kavari ndiri kapuli edzo zvidoita ende atongoengedza atongoseparate zvodoita sa zvezvo nina zvafuna zvone right. Ndibve apalani ndisedze clause 2 inokova hei ikoamba nga kuvhotele kwashango kana rusokori change of direct people voting to majority parliamentary. Ndichisedza hei clause iyi ndikoererana nayo ende ndikotenderana nayo. Ndiri mufaro wa mushumo mboziyambizambi vanokova ndilone gota la mushumo la shango ndiri avafari ngauraro ndipireka heku ndiyofara clause 9 inokova ikoamba nga Zimbabwe Electoral Delimitation Commission Ndinabva hone nne hotanganana karali zvichamba nga kuvechero kwadziboundary dzablack ngauri ndikamba kachituchiraona kavanitendere ndiyambe chituchiraona puli yabhaibhurichi yojiwa yesu wagwanda hawana lori madzina anokufanira kuti avhotere ngeno kana kabhaibhurichi west constituency akowanda ragwanda akowera kagwanda zvasi hauna pfudzunguro husina ufana nazvo esvika matadha anokonga eneyo zvino ndikabona kuti karali manda onejeriwa zek onoiswa kahava madelimitation vanongova namanda auisa mikano yadziblack nadziblack ndivona ungari zvidhodisa muraro kavatu zvidhodisa muraro kavatu ende zvaita kuti vatu vadzure zvavudi zvazvino vadhowana uri satsumbo vatu vakauya dziketori vawane kuti vatu vanji vanji kafalani avawo madzina avo hawo vawana uri helani bhuku inokwava ina miteve yavatu vavhota vawana uri madzina avatu hawo vamwe vorova vasviko vahona hazvina panda namurawo zvithu zvavone zvino karari honova nakomishini inokwava ikosedzera mushumo onoyo pedzwa uri madzina avatu akamiteve yofanirawo ndivona ungari ndichitu chavudhinga vanhu ngawo zvone ndiri bill number 3 yonotorenga aidhenga kutavanyedza then ndipedzise yabhenga uri hezvi vatu vachitaudzine vamatibe rine levo nga mandesa kadzi submission dzoitiwawo parliament hoda mapepa osainiwa nga vatu anokwana vo almost 500,000 nduri 530 something thousand so navoini vatu vamatibe navachitaudzi ndipfeni ndichivaliwa ngangomu hamiteve heyo zviyamba uri bill number 3 ndichitu chavudhi chikoudha richisedza hapalani kauketa vopresidente kachipinga chaone chauri one anokova ahone ngachipinga chaubusi ribveka hechi chipinga cha miṅwaha mitano fedzi richiyaka 7 riri hari yazvikodha ende riyazvidyera zvanḓa rikozvidyera zvanḓa ngauri hezvi zvipa manda mufari wa shango chipinga chauri vashume zvithu zvavo kana dziproject satsumbo hapalani yachitaudzi kana matibe rina chifato chinonga border ilani bordara iri hone zvezvi one of the best border centers yashangoni ingasifato ilani vaisedza project kana program ilani ingasife nga miṅwaha mitano fedzi itoda chifhinga ngazvo rikori karali murangapanda wa shango apiwa chifhinga chori nyana choita kana nga 7 years ubva ka 5 tichitu chavudhi nga manda chifa president wa shango uri apedze mishumo yawo karali ringavona burden ile nokubva Beitbridge shaharare yonokosalelwa nga madhitonyana matukutuku ingasiitwi nga 5 years fedzi itoda chifhinga so hechi chipinga chauripo president vavuse kana vaengedzero rivusise uri vabve ka 5 years shaka 7 years ndichitu chavudhi nga manda ngazvo ndipedzise nga ndichiri mufara wa mushumo murangapanda wa shango wa zvamirayo ziyambi avafare nga uraro rikovalivuwa rikagotoda uvona hei project yavatoma vona ichikunyerera ndaa
Thank you, Comrade Ndo. Thank you, Honorable Ndo.
Point of privilege, Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Point of privilege, Honorable.
Majita, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I-observation wanga ndaita Madam Speaker, ma'am. Pama debates akanaka so sezvo vanga vakatumwa ne constituency yavo inotaura Venda zvanga zvakakosha kuti ko debate ravo rikepchiwe zvakanaka-naka nevhenda kuitira kuti kana mahansard avo kuzoenda kumusha vanoverenga vachiona izvo zvasati translatewa.
zvataurwa nahonorable zvo zvine musoro. Ndino chivimbo chokuti vanogona kuita ma-arrangements iwawo nevekuhansard. Honorable C. Madzivanyika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I rise. Madam Speaker, I rise to oppose vehemently CAB3. Madam Speaker, let me just go to, I will debate about 5 or 6 issues in the interest of time, and also that the bulk of my presentation has been presented by other colleagues, so I don't want to regurgitate. So, first of all, Madam Speaker, the right to govern is derived from the people. Section 2F of our national constitution provides the founding value to say that the governing founding values should bind all the state, it should bind all institutions, it must bind all agents of government at every level. So, one of the fundamental values is to respect the people of Zimbabwe, upon which the right to govern is derived from. Madam Speaker, how do we respect the people of Zimbabwe? We respect them by consulting them on matters which are fundamentally important. Madam Speaker, ma'am, let me make this a very important point. Whenever constitutional amendments fundamentally alters the relationship between the governed and the politicians, when that happens, therefore it is very vital to consider a referendum to consult the people, to take their...
Madam Speaker, point of order. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order. Madam Speaker, this constitution guides us on what we do when we are amending. So members should not lie or pretend not to know when they sit in this august house. There is very clear on when a referendum is required. So the member must stick to what the constitution says. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Leader of Government Business. I am sure, Honorable Madzivanyika, you have taken note of that.
I'm coming there, Madam Speaker. I'm coming to you. Madam Speaker, the amendment of the Constitution, there is a very important section. Section 328 is so fundamental in what you call the Constitutional Bill, which deals with amending our national Constitution. Madam Speaker, Section 328, subsection 6 provides that whenever you amend a chapter 4 and chapter 16, you have to go for a referendum. Madam Speaker, chapter 4 of our national constitution talks about the Bill of Rights. And when we are interpreting the constitution, Madam Speaker, we should also interpret using on the text and the spirit. Section 67, Madam Speaker, subsection 3, and I want to quote, it says, it is the right of every Zimbabwean, Madam Speaker, subject to this constitution, every Zimbabwean citizen who is over 18 years of age has a right to participate or to vote in all elections, and I want to underline, in all elections and referendums. All elections and referendums to which this constitution and other law applies. Madam Speaker, Section 3, this is a Bill of Rights. And right now, this amendment to say that let us change election of the president from the general people to parliament, it actually says it is outside this section, which is the Bill of Rights, Section 67. What it means, Madam Speaker, is that...
On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order, Honorable?
Madam Speaker, we should not seek to mislead the House. If you say every election, we elect the Speaker of Parliament here. It's not everyone who is over 18 who comes to elect the Speaker of Parliament here. So I think the Honourable Member must be pointed and guided, not over-generalize our constitutional provisions in this debate. And so submitted, okay.
I'm sure, Honorable Mazwanika, you have taken note of that.
Madam Speaker, this amendment is now saying every Zimbabwean can participate in all elections except election of the president. That's what it's saying. And it is outside bias, this section. And therefore a referendum on this clause matters. Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Section 328 is very clear. You must wait for the Speaker to rule when voting is happening on the next process. Why is he preempting? In the bill does not speak about a referendum. It speaks about what needs to be amended. And the Constitution is very clear on who decides after a vote. So why is he debating about things that are not there? You must rule on that. The procedure is, when we get to voting, the Speaker will then indicate if a referendum is, and then will do accordingly. So why is he preempting things?
Thank you, Leader of Government Business. Honorable Mazwanika, I'm sure you have heard what the Honorable Minister have said.
Madam Speaker, the people of Zimbabwe voted in a presidential election in 2008. The people of Zimbabwe voted in a presidential election in 2013, 2018, and 2023. Madam Speaker, the people of Zimbabwe have got a legitimate expectation to vote again in 2028. We cannot change. After all that voting, we cannot then come and then say, all of a sudden we are changing, without consent from them. So, I'm not against amending the Constitution. I am against doing so without the consent of the very important stakeholders who are the people of Zimbabwe. Madam Speaker, let us be very, very careful of Section 91, amending Section 91 in this case. Madam Speaker, Section 91 allows one to be president.
Order, Honorable, what is your point of order?
Mazvita, Madam Speaker, member ngavajeke sorot ma consultations anoitwa ne parliament atinoita sema members asiri ma consultations here.
Ndofunga vazvinzwa zvamataura kuti ma consultations akaitwa.
Madam Speaker, one is eligible for election as a president if, number one, is over 40 years of age, number two, if he's an ordinary resident in Zimbabwe, number three, if he's a registered voter and is above the age of 40 years. Those are the requirements. This amendment, Madam Chair, is a dangerous amendment. In what way? In the sense that, Madam Chair, if I'm a billionaire today, it's possible to buy all these MPs. Zimbabwean MPs, Madam Chair. Zimbabwean MPs are the poorly remunerated people in the world.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
They are the most poor people in this world.
Point of
order. Point of order.
Honorable Mazwanika, I think.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. In an inference that we are cheap, we can be bought, honorable members can be bought, is very dangerous. We are not talking about billionaires here. We are talking about making a constitution, not
I think that's very irresponsible. Honorable government chief whip, chinoitika ndechekuti ivo pamwe vanogona kunge vachitengeka, saka vagofunga kuti vese vanhu vanogona kuita sei kutengeka.
Madam Speaker, I say so. I say so because, Madam Speaker, the bulk of our MPs, Zimbabwean MPs, are the most poorest MPs in terms of remuneration. They get $275 per month. There's no doubt that, let me say Zimbabwe is watching. So, an MP getting $275 per month can easily be bought with $200,000. And we don't want that for the integrity of our country.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
So this amendment is dangerous.
Order.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
What is your point
Madam
of
Speaker,
order?
I would implore, if you would indulge me, Madam Speaker.
May we have order?
Madam Speaker, I would implore that the honourable member must withdraw his statement because it implicates on the decisions we make in this House, as if to say we are not patriotic more than the need for money. If he is not patriotic in his own right, that's his problem. But he must not insinuate that us all are so hungry for money that we will leave patriotism aside and be guided in our decision making for the sake of money. Please, Madam Speaker, may he withdraw his statement that has not implicated on all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mazwanik. I think on that one we must withdraw.
I withdraw, Madam Chair.
Because you said the majority of honorable MPs are poor. We are not poor. Why are you counting us as if...
I withdraw, Madam Chair.
The majority of all these MPs are business persons. They are not
withdraw,
poor.
Madam Chair.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker. Point of order, Honorable
Madam Chair.
Speaker.
Madam Chair, let me go to the second item. The extension of the term of office.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
What is your point of order?
Mazvita mubati wechigaro. Mazvita mubati wechigaro. Ndiri kukumbirawo kuti Honorable Madzivanyika withdraw pavati ma MP anotengwa. Tiri kusviba kunze uko chinzi tiri kupuwa mari, hatina mari yatakapiwa, hameno ivo kuti vari kupuwa mari kupi. Taneta nevanhu vanoda makamera, vanoda zvimaklipi zvokanda kumaFacebook. We are tired of these people. Please, Madam Speaker, isai order, vanhu vanotaura zvakadaro ngavagare pasi.
Madam Chair, I move the second issue, Madam Chair.
Order, Honorable Madzivanyika. Handisati ndaisa ruling.
Draw.
Honorable Madzivanyika. Kwanzi withdraw vanhu vese vachinzwa.
Madam Speaker, I withdraw, Madam Speaker. I withdraw again. Madam Speaker, I move on to the...
Vawithdraw zvese zvavataura zviya.
Madam Speaker, I'm now moving on to the issue, the amendment which relates to the extension of time from 5 years to 7 years. Madam Speaker, let me make this fundamental position. Madam Speaker, it is not the role of Parliament to abuse majority against a position decided by the law already. Madam Chair, it is section 320A subsection 7 provides that if you want to benefit from a term limit provision, you must go for a referendum. Madam Chair.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Section 95.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order. Madam Speaker, we cannot allow people to continue to lie in this house. Section 328, subsection 7 does not speak about a referendum. It only says that he who does something must not benefit. So the honorable member must speak to what the Constitution says, not to what he thinks the Constitution is saying.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mazwanika, you are left with 5 minutes. Please debate the bill. Don't mislead the House or the nation.
Madam Speaker, the incumbent must not benefit from a term limit provision as provided by 327, subsection 7. Madam Chair, if you go to a decided court case, which is the precedent which we use, it gives a position that section 95 is a term limit provision. As against what the others were saying, or always say it's a cycle. It is a term limit provision according to a precedent or a court case judgment of Max Mpungu versus the Minister of Justice. And I want to read paragraph 50 of that judgment. It says, by way of contrast, the Constitution abides a myriad of provisions that unquestionably constitute a specific term limit within the parameters of Section 328. First and foremost, there is Section 95, subsection 2. Madam Chair, this is clear. It's unquestionable, according to precedents, that Section 95 is a term limit provision.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Again,
Madam Speaker, I think it's not right for people who do not know how to interpret judgments to pretend to know how to interpret judgments. That was not a main judgment. It was said in passing, in obiter. So he should not say things that do not constitute the main judgment.
Honorable Mazwanika, I think I have already warned you about misleading this House and the nation.
Yeah. Madam Speaker.
You are misleading.
Madam Speaker.
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order.
Madam Speaker, let me jettison to issues that really matter. Madam Speaker, Lois Makanda Moyo, who is the Prosecutor General of this country, alluded to the fact that Zimbabwe is losing 1.8 to 2 billion US dollars in terms of corruption and illicit activities in this country. So, Madam Speaker, extending by 2 years means Zimbabwe is going to lose 4 billion US dollars.
Point of order.
Point
of order.
Honorable Mazwanika.
Point of order.
What you are saying now is that in the bill? Are you still debating the bill? No.
Order. Point of order.
Order.
Point of order. 5 minutes, the Mampa Zabarika, that's 6 minutes. 5 minutes, the Mampa Zabarika, that's 6 minutes.
Madam Speaker, according to a report from ZNCC, the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce.
Your time is up.
5 minutes is which? 5 minutes is which?
Your time is up.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of privilege. Point of privilege, Madam Speaker.
Point of privilege.
Point of privilege.
Point of privilege.
Point of privilege.
Honorable Gumbo.
Tatikumbira kuti muri anoremekedzwa vamadziranyika vapiwe dzimwe 10 minutes.
I second.
I second.
Order. Is there any objection?
Yes.
Objection.
Objection. Point of privilege, Madam Speaker. I have a point of privilege.
Point of privilege, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have observed that when those opposed to this bill debate, they are oftenly interjected by the Honorable Minister. This is not
the Honorable Member is out of order.
Madam
Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister took...
Honorable Makubiri.
The Honorable Minister took more than 5 minutes trying to respond to Honorable Mazwanyika, of which he has got his slot where he's supposed to respond to all this debate. I was underpaid that. But I also want you... Madam Speaker, this debate does not have...
Next to take the floor is Honorable Togarepi.
Madam Speaker, I stand before this House as Pupraito Togarepi, the MP for Gutu South, representing those who voted for me and those who didn't vote for me. I am their representative. So when I am here, I speak on their behalf because they know I am their MP. Madam Speaker, I am not only Pupraito Togarepi, I fought in the liberation struggle.
Point of order.
Point of order. Madam Speaker, ma'am. Point of order. Point of order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, point of order. On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker. He never supported the war. He was a Mjiba.
Point of order. May we have order in the House? May we have order in the House? Order, please.
Madam Speaker, I know my presentation is going to be interjected by honorable members from the other side. I would be very happy through those mishaps that this discussion will be allowed to go into the Hansard. But, Madam Speaker, when you see people exhibiting...
I want to make it straight.
When you see members exhibiting ignorance of the Constitution, they don't know that Mjiba was a...
Point of order. Point of order.
You do expect them to understand and not mislead the House. That's the point.
Point of privilege.
Honorable Makumire, please may you leave the House. Leave the House. You are disturbing the smooth running of this House. Please leave. Leave the House. Leave the House. Leave the House.
Madam Speaker.
Leave the house, Honorable Makumire. Leave the house.
Buddha Ropa.
Madam Speaker.
Buddha has Buddha. Ropa.
Honorable Makumire, leave the house.
As Buddha Ropa.
Did I leave the house?
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, point of order. Madam Speaker, point of order. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam
Honorable
Speaker.
Makumire, leave the house.
The house. And this is Buddha Munom.
Buddha, iwe.
The reasons.
Buddha Ropa, Buddha.
What are the reasons?
Noisy. Root is the debate, Buddha.
Madam Speaker, Mahachi uyo ndiye ari kudisturba uyo. Dai Mahachi ambo Buddha uyo. Iwe Mahachi, Buddha, leave the house. Imbo Buddha iwewe. Siya ropa hapa.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Gafugame.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order.
What is your point of order?
Maita basa mbati wechigaro. Mbati wechigaro. Mbati wechigaro ndiri kuona rolling yamapa kuti Honorable Makumire vabude panze. Asi tiri kuona zvekare kuti divi rekuku Honorable Mahachi vari kunyatsobuda pachena vachishandisa mic kudzinga kana kupopota vachishaudha vanhu kusaidi kuno. Ngazvienzaniswe mukubata basa renyu makagara pacheya ipapo.
Zvona mangwana.
Mazvita vakangozvita chete ndakazviona ndovaburitsa.
Tofoiro raita futi.
Honorable togarepi.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I rise to give my strongest and unequivocal support to clause 4, 5, and 9 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 3. These provisions extend the presidential and parliamentary cycles from 5 to 10 years and streamline succession arrangements. They are not about entrenchment, but about stability, peace, and delivery. Madam Speaker, Clause 4 amends Section 95 to extend the term of office of the President and Vice President from 5 years to 7 years,
with a new subsection confirming that this applies to the continuation in office of the President. Clause 5 simplifies Section 100 on the acting President, removing unnecessary duplication. Clause 9 extends the duration of Parliament from 5 years to 7 years. Honorable members, Madam Speaker, one thing that we should look at one point around 2008, if I am not wrong, Parliament reduced its term. And people were very happy and nobody raised a finger or any complaint about that. So Parliament can also extend its term, and it should not give any person sleepless nights. Madam Speaker, the suggestion that MPs, I heard some in the media and some who were debating here, that MPs should never benefit from laws they pass is a misunderstanding of how representative government works. Every law we make affects citizens. MPs are citizens too. If the test is, does the law benefit an MP, then almost no one could vote on anything. Take a lawyer MPs who are here. When the Legal Practitioners Act is amended to update fees or professional conduct rules, lawyer MPs benefit. But so does every lawyer in Zimbabwe. That is not corruption, it is representation. The same applies to farmers. We have farmer MPs here. If anything comes to this house relating to farmers, will we tell farmers to get out until we get the result of the vote? We have business people here who are MPs. If we are coming up with a law that touches business, are we going to tell all business people to leave? What we are looking for is the expertise that is found in those people. And we should give them an opportunity to give us direction. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, we will end up having laws done by people who have no orientation, who know nothing about certain areas. If we exclude everyone with a stake, we end up with a parliament of outsiders, making rules about industry they have never worked in. That produces unworkable laws. Madam Speaker, the real issue is not whether MPs have a general interest in the subject, but whether the benefit is exclusive, it's secret, or targeted at them personally. That is where corruption lies. And our safeguards already exist. Disclosure, when we come into Parliament, we disclose our interests. And the judgment of our voters. If we do anything that is untoward, when we go back for re-elections, our people will discard us. So safeguards are there. Transparency and election are better checks than a blanket rule that treats all personal benefits as corruption. On the other matter, Madam Speaker, let us be clear. Term length is not term limit. We have lawyers here, some of great reputation that I've been following as a citizen. I'm sorry, I will mention people like Honorable Gumbo here. They must be honest people, honest lawyers, like Honorable Mutoni here is a good lawyer. When they debate here, they must be honest, interpret the law as lawyers, not as political animals. So, Section 91...
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Section 91, subsection 2 of the Constitution still keeps the President at 2 terms.
Order, Honorable Togarepi. What's your point of order, Honorable?
Madam Speaker, I am a very respected lawyer in this country. You can't cast aspersions by suggesting that we are debating dishonestly. He is casting aspersions on my professional capacity by saying we were debating dishonestly.
Honorable Gumbo, that's a point of debate.
It's not a point of debate. He's saying we must debate.
You were given your time yesterday and you debated. Allow Honorable Togarepi to debate.
He must clarify what he means there.
Madam Speaker, I think
Order, Honorable Gumbo.
He may not have gotten me in the correct context. But if you feel offended by what I said, I just said we have lawyers here. When they look at legal issues presented in this bill, they must help those who are non-lawyers to understand these things. Not because he is a bad lawyer. No, I haven't said that. I said I follow you with keen interest as a good lawyer. Only maybe Honorable Madziwanyika, who pretends to be one, but him is a lawyer.
On a point of order. On a point of order.
What's your point of order, Honorable Madziwanyika?
Madam Speaker, Order 90. Madam Speaker, Order 98 2D of our standing rules and orders is against an honorable member who speaks vulgar or disrespectful to other honorable members. The honorable member indicates that Honorable Madziwanyika pretends. I don't pretend, I'm a legislator. Thank you, Madam Chair. You must withdraw.
Honorable Madziwanyika. And this corner patukwa mono. And this corner patukwa mono, Honorable Madziwanyika.
I come to represent the people, I don't pretend. And I'm representing the people as such. So you must withdraw that I'm pretending. I'm not a pretending honorable member here. That's not correct.
Order, Honorable Madziwanyika.
Yes.
Order.
Madam Speaker,
You may continue, Honorable Togarepi.
Okay, Madam Speaker, let me continue. Madam Speaker, it is important to recall that Zimbabwe's parliamentary cycle has not always been 5 years. At independence, the Constitution provided for the 6-year presidential term.
On a point of privilege. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I'm not trying to disrupt. Actually, I was going to earn my end of point of privilege. I would suggest to add 5 minutes more to the government chief whip. Actually, I wanted to say, on this side, we never planned to disrupt the government chief whip. We know the stature and the respect that is accorded to the government chief whip, though we disagree with the amendment bill. But I appeal to Honorable Government Chief Whip not to provoke our members so that they will react. And I also suggest that you give him more 5 minutes. And we are not disrupting him, but he should also lead by example. we want to hear, because he represents the main views of the movers of the bill, and we want to prepare our response accordingly. And
Thank you, Honorable
he is
Amosa.
not going to continue provoking honorable members from this
Thank
side.
you. Thank you, Honorable Amosa. Honorable Togarepe.
Madam Speaker, when I started my debate, I referred myself as a participant in the liberation struggle. 1980, immediately when we got our independence, we had a constitution. That constitution spoke to how we were going to elect members of parliament, even those who were going to lead the executive. Members of parliament were chosen using proportional representation. The president or the prime minister was elected, who was the leader of government, using the same mode. So we are not departing, or we are not inventing a wheel. We are just going back. So when people talk about one man, one vote, I find it may be a misinterpretation. Because one man, one vote only says, if I am supposed to vote, I should not be denied. I should not be given lesser voting power. Each one must be able to vote.
Point of order.
When
Point of
we
order,
are
Madam
voting at a certain stage.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, can I be allowed? That's when I will start provoking them.
Point of order. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honorable?
Ndida kutenda bato vechigaro. Patakambodhibheta isu takanzi kana uchinge wakota unobva wanotudza pauri kutora. Ndenge ndiri kukumbira kuti government chief ipe vatiudze kuti definition yavo ye-one man one vote vari kuitora pai. Yatinoziva nevari kutaura hazvisi kuenderana, saka ngavatiudze kuti iyi yangu ndaitora pakati ndatenda bato vechigaro.
Order, Honorable. Ingowani mese makadhibheta. Regai umwe nomwe adhibhete nepaanonzwisisa napo. According to the statement. Maita basa. You may continue, Honorable.
Take it again. One man, one vote doesn't mean voting for the president. It only means you can vote where you are supposed to vote. It's like I vote for my councillor in my constituency.
Honorable members, may you allow Honorable Togarepe to be heard in silence, please. Please. Order, Honorable Member. You may continue.
I vote for my councillor, and my councillor goes to the city council and vote for my mayor. I have my right to vote for the councillor, but I don't have the right to vote for the mayor. But it has not taken away my right to vote. So, when we come here, what we are doing now is to amend the Constitution. Let me say, the laws are made by rulers. They are not made by those who are supposed to be ruled. Madam Speaker, we are here in Parliament. Both political parties went to an election, pushing to win elections, specifically to deal with lawmaking. And they would want to make these laws to ensure that they govern well.
On a point of order, Madam Chair. On a point of order, Madam Chair.
Order, Honorable Togarebi, what's your point of order, Honorable?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I heard the Honorable Togarebi saying he's a liberation war fighter. Honorable Togarebi was born in 1968, Madam Chair. And he was 12 years at independence.
Order, Honorable Mazvanyika, order.
No, Madam Chair, I'm entitled to continue to
order, Honorable Mazvanyika.
I'm entitled.
Order, Honorable Mazvanyika.
Let me finish my point of order.
Mazvanyika.
Madam Chair,
Garepas, Honorable Mazvanyika.
At independence, he was 12. So I can't know what to read.
Honorable Mazvanyika, Garepas. That's unprocedural, Honorable Mazvanyika. No.
Madam Speaker, my honorable member is a fervent player on the social media. So he's taking social media to be facts. I was born much before 1968. Madam Speaker, what I am saying here now is that we are here as Zimbabweans. The reason why we fought to liberate ourselves was to be able to rule ourselves. We only rule ourselves if we have made laws that we feel are good for our people. So in this house, we make laws. Interpretation of the laws will deal
on a point of order, Madam Speaker,
by lawyers. But here we make laws as political representatives.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honorable?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I am rising on Rule 65. The rules of Parliament is that, and according to the timekeepers, a person is supposed to debate for 20 minutes. The Honorable Government Chief Whip has been debating for the past 26 minutes. So I think his time is lapsed and he must stop debating.
Order, Honorable. Honorable, order. Robasa lema officers varapa vari kuchengeta time. Kana yakwana vanongotudza.
Jona ne smoke break.
Kana yakwana vanongotudza.
Point of order.
Order, honorable members.
Point of order.
Continue, Honorable Tokari.
Madam Speaker, so I would want to emphasize that before I go to the last two sections, that we, as a member of Parliament representing the people of Gutu South, who have sent me to say we would want to increase the term of the president to 7 years, and that of MPs. And MPs that we have chosen must go and vote for the president. I agreed with them because we all know as members of Parliament that it will be very simple. 270 people or 360 people voting. There won't be all those lies of being cheated. There won't be all those expenses and acrimonies. We will finish this in a few minutes.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Point of order, Madam Chair.
What's your point of order, Honorable Mazvanyika?
Madam Chair, we are honorable members of Parliament. We are honorable members of Parliament. And we cannot be prejudiced while we are watching. He is now debating for the 31st minute instead of the Gazette 20 minutes. We can't keep quiet waiting for you to pronounce yet we are being disadvantaged. So we cannot give us sit down. It's time up, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mazvanyika.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, ma'am, I want to second. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I want to second Honorable Amau Sawatipo my time away what 5 minutes.
Object.
Honorable Togarebi. 1 minute, Honorable Togarebi.
Point of order. Madam Chair, I objected.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
We have objected here.
Point of order. Point of order, Madam Speaker, ma'am. Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Right, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I didn't debate in this house.
Madam Speaker,
I don't know. So how many minutes are you giving?
He never debated.
Honorable Chief Whip, I think the officers are the one who are keeping the time.
He never debated. All the time was taken
Madam
by
Chair.
the opposite.
Madam Chair, in and out debate. Must sit down. Our time is not elastic. In and out debate in the same issue. You must face what is good with the good and good with the bad.
Honorable Mazvanyika,
You must face his consequences.
garai pasi Honorable Mazvanyika, tikubetserwa nema-officers arapa. Aiwa, garai pasi.
Pane injury time, bhora richitambwa pane injury time, mavatorera nguva iyi. Yeah, it has to be subtracted.
Mbappe.
For 5 minutes, that's very ngaini.
Ndimba kuti President Mbambe futhi ke.
Pamnorifarira sterek. Waita basa clerk. Wataura kuti 37 minutes.
Madam Speaker, can I be allowed to do my 5 minutes? Vavana ime hamusi kutonga ino.
Honorable members. Order, honorable members.
Okay.
5 minutes left, Honorable Togarebi.
On a point of order.
Point of order.
On a point.
Pakura is fair.
On a point of order. On a point.
Madam Speaker, let me some.
Point of order.
A point of order, Madam Chair.
Honorable Mazvanyika.
Yes.
Ndikukumbiro garai pasi Honorable.
Mazvanyika.
Madam Chair,
Ndikukumbiro garai pasi Honorable. Time yavo yakawanda yapedzwa.
Mazvanyika.
Saka aiwa Honorable Mazvanyika. Ndikukumbiro garai pasi.
It's a point of order. Madam Chair.
Garai pasi Honorable Mazvanyika.
It's a point of order. Unless you want to reject me for it, it's a point of order.
Garai pasi Honorable Mazvanyika. Garai pasi Honorable Mazvanyika.
Right,
Garai pasi Honorable Mazvanyika.
Madam Speaker, I want to touch on 2 issues.
On a point of order, Madam Chair. Because a point of order suspends all business. It suspends all business, Madam Chair.
Point of order.
The honorable member said we are
Point of.
We are not a partner in Parliament.
Point of order, Madam.
We can only allow him to proceed.
Now withdrawn. Madam Speaker, I want
withdraw Honorable Mazvanyika. Honorable Togarebi. Chiita igaga 5 minutes dzenyu dzipeni.
Madam Speaker, the issue of gender commission. Madam Speaker, I want to say I have no problem us keeping the gender commission. But I want to put things into perspective. The reason why a government is proposing that we put it under human rights. Gender issues are human rights issues. Any other right that we have can be administered under human rights. But because stakeholders representing women say they would want gender, which is actually not representing women, but men and women. They want to keep it. Maybe in future change it to be women's commission. I am not sure. But let me say, I have no problem in us supporting that. But I would want, Madam Speaker, in a very short way, talk about the issue of traditional leaders. Allow me to read, and I will read fast. Traditional leaders are citizens first before they are traditional leaders. They should not be denied political rights. Madam Speaker, the proposal to repeal Section 281, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which restricts the political rights of traditional leaders, is both fair and necessary. Our traditional leaders are citizens first, and as citizens, they are entitled to the full enjoyment of political rights guaranteed under Section 67 of the Constitution. What we should know is, before we brought the westernized leadership of this country, our traditional leaders were the leaders of this country. King Lubengula, they are akasaina between this country and the British. Our traditional leaders are being arrested for their political rights. But if they insist, we may give them. But I am sure one day when we have another leadership in this parliament, they will give traditional leaders their rights. It is a right that they have. We went around as members of parliament, and you count maybe 5 or less who said, as traditional leaders, we don't want this to be involved in politics. Members of parliament must not be afraid of traditional leaders because they will take up their constituencies. They are Zimbabweans, they have rights, political rights as well. Allow them to be politicians if they choose to. Madam Speaker, because I was not allowed by my fellow honorable members to go through my submission, I pray that it be allowed to find its way into the Hansard. And yes.
Thank you, Honorable Togarepi. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Nyerere.
It's Nyevera, Madam Speaker.
Nyevera, sorry. Nyevera.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I rise to support Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 for 3 key reasons: historical legacies, policy consistency, and contemporary governance systems. Historical legacies: it is not by coincidence that trends during our motherland Zimbabwe's first, second, and third Chimrenga that instilled political consciousness, ignited immense nationalism and the zeal to fight for our freedom, independence, and sovereignty including reclaiming our land, all took us in excess of 5 years for every single phase to be successfully completed. Our fourth Chimrenga is boldly declared and judicially demonstrated by our visionary leader, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, demands a stable, predictable policy environment and responsive, transformational, listening servant leadership that respects the Constitution. Popular demand and collective responsibility is advocated under the twin mantras of Nyika Inovakwa, Igotongwa, Igonamatirwa, Newe Newayo. And the voice of the people is the voice of God. In regard, the patriotic and loyal Zimbabwean citizens, and indeed the community of Slovela I represent, overwhelmingly supported CAB3 during nationwide consultations. As I hereby submit, guided by the need for prudent economic diplomacy, preservation of peace, security, tranquility, and social cohesion for national development. Consistent inclusive policy. Honorable Speaker, Madam, CAB3 incorporates contemporary responsive governance systems globally credited for accelerated and sustainable economic development. Impactful infrastructure projects, especially in energy, mining, roads, dams like Nkai Lupane Road and Vungu Dam, among other milestones over the last 5 cycles. Hence, a 2-year extension addresses the disruption caused by early election cycles, providing the executive time to finish critical programs without resetting policy every 5 years. Stability attracts investors who need policy certainty, not constant electoral uncertainty. Contemporary governance systems. Honorable Speaker, Madam, electing the president through parliament leverages a system we already pay for. MPs are elected representatives of the people. When parliament elects the president, it strengthens the link between the executive and the legislature and promotes accountability. It also reduces polarizing, divisive, and toxic campaigns that split communities. Furthermore, national elections cost taxpayers billions of dollars. In a difficult economic environment, that money can build clinics, schools, and power stations. Honorable Speaker, Madam, international precedents exist as many stable democracies use parliamentary or hybrid systems to elect the head of state. Germany, Italy, and South Africa elect their presidents through parliament. The goal is prioritization of governance that delivers over theatrics and achievement of people-centric results over self-serving ego. Conclusion. Honorable Madam, Ma'am, Honorable Speaker, Madam, Ma'am, this amendment is about efficiency, continuity, and putting resources into service delivery. It does not in any way breach any provision under our Constitution, but bolsters our resolve, resilience, and commitment towards redefining our identity and development aspirations as Zimbabweans. The country is indeed at an undeniably critical turning point to reverse the decades of long sanctions, induced and natural disaster-driven economic meltdown, as demonstrated by massive dam, road, ports of entry, power generation, housing, interchanges, infrastructure developments, and private sector-led investments in mining, agriculture, manufacturing, construction, and tourism. A longer term allows completion of national projects as we seek to reclaim the legacy of the great Mutapa Empire and assume our rightful leadership position among the community of nations. Parliamentary election of the president preserves public funds and strengthens institutional oversight. For the sake of development and stability, I urge this House to support Bill number 3. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nyewera. Honorable Shaipa, you can take the floor.
Maita basa mbati wechigaro. Ndinosumuka ndakamirira Zengeza West mudare rino ndichiramba zvachose mutemo weCAB3 mubati wechigaro bhiri iri rauya nenguva yakaipa rauya kuzoparadzanisa vanhu munyika rauya kupa mupatsa kuma-members of parliament kuZANU-PF chaiko ratsemura kuopposition.
Order, honorable. Honorable Zvaipa, munoshedzera kuti there's evidence, iripo evidence yezvamuri kutaura zvekuZANU-PF. Debatai zviri mustatement kwete zvamaakutaura izvo.
Maita mubati wechigaro bhiri iri riri kutsemura kana kudzimba chaiko, harisina ukama, harisi kuvaka.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honorable Togari?
Madam Speaker, I think you should direct debate. The honorable member is misleading this house to say the bill iri kuparadzanisa vanhu. How does it do that? Madam Speaker, I think we are honorable members. We should not just play with words that are not factual.
Totenda Honorable Zvaipa. Tryai kuti mudebate zviri mustatement, Honorable.
Ndokwandiri kuenda.
Edzai kudebata zviri mustatement.
Ichokwadi. Ndichitaura kuti bill riri kutiparadzanisa. Ndiri kureva kuti nini? Hapachisina kuwirirana muno. Hamukutoona zvavari kuita nezvandiri kuita. Kutoreva kuti tiri kutokonana. Nekuda kwebill irori. Bill iri.
Order, honorable members. Debate, honorable Jaib.
Okay, thank you. Mawo veterans chaiwo akarwira nyika ino haachisiri kuwirirana nebill iri.
Point of order. Zvaipa. Handingarambe ndichikusureka muminiti imwe chete katatu. Debatai zvinhu zviri mustatement.
Point of order.
Zvekutadza kuwirirana kwevanhu hazvinei neparliament ine hazvinei nebill. Ndikukumbira honorable Zvaipa. Pandinokusura ike kupedzisira mukugara pasi.
Mawo vete napa kutadza kuwirirana.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Udzei mawo vete kutadza kuwirirana acho vai. Musati penya.
Point of order.
What's your point of order, honorable?
Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable.
Maita basa, Madam Speaker. Vanoremekedzwa vane mashoko avataura atinokumbira kuti vamedze. Vataura kuti bhiri riri kupesanisa ma-MP nekuZANU-PF. Toda kuziva kuti ivo
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members.
Kana vakuda kupinda musero voya towanyora musero. Maita basa.
Honorable members. Makaramba muchidzokorora zvamuri kuita izvi ndikukuburitsai panze. Everyone ari kuramba achiita noise. Ngatisiyei honorable Zvaipa va debate. Aiwa nyararai honorable, hamurambe muchitaura pandotaura.
Maita basa mubati wechigaro. Ini ndichikumbira kuti vaziyambi vambodzokera nebill iri riuye ranyatsogadziriswa rigone kutibatanidza isusu senyika. Chiri kudikwa nevanhu muno munyika mubati wechigaro. Vanhu vari kuda kuti vasagare mumasiweji. Vanhu vari kuda kuti kuchipatara kuve kunorapwa kuine mishonga. Vanhu vari kuda kuenda kumabasa, vanhu havana mabasa. vanhu vari kuda kuti vabviswe pamutoriro.
Honorable Speaker, point of order.
Point of order, Honorable Zvaipa.
Point of order yangu ndeyekuti masuoji ari kugarwa nevanhu aya ari kukonzerwa neutongi hweopposition kumalocal authority. Ndiyo vari kukonzeresa izvozvo.
Honorable Zvaipa, ndiri kukumbira kuti mudhibhete zvatataurirana zviri mustatement. Time yenyu inopera musina chamataura, muchitaura zvinhu zvisizvo.
Sorry mubati wechigaro. Mukandiudza zvekutaura ndinopusa. Regai ndinyatsodhibheta zvandauya ndakanyora, ndo zvandatumwa nevanhu vezengeza West. Vanhu vezengeza West vari kuti isusu takaita contract nemi sema MPs kuti endai kuparliament for 5 years. Iyo yamakuronga mako handiyo yatakawirirana. Saka vari kuti zokai futi pa 5 years kuitira kuti tikuvhotereka tikudzosereka.
Dzokera tite by election won.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Kune nyaya
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Kune nyaya dziri kutaurwa kuti 7 years dzinobatsira kuti tikwanise kuita development munyika. Handizvo. Nei tichiramba tichidaro democracy kana kuti 2013 patakaenda paya tichifambira nyaya yeconstitution yakati president anofanira kuti ave anogara for 5 years. After 5 years totsvaga umwe kana kuti tomudzosera kana kuri kuti tiri kumuda. Idzi 2 years dzatakuwedzera vari kuti ndedzei dzokai futi kwatiri. Ndo matauri ari kuita vanhu vezengeza West. Ndoda kudzoka panyaya yambotaurwa neumwe mutauri handichadi kuti government chief whip. Vataura nyaya yekuti vakarwa hondo. Tichitaura nyaya yekuhondo regai nditaure ndichidai. Vanhu vakatorwa vachienda kuhondo vana vanga
Honorable Zvaipa. Zvekurwa hondo kwavatogarepi zviri mustatement here.
Madam Speaker.
Debate zviri mustatement, Honorable Zvaipa. This is your last chance. Ndikukugarisai pasi.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Matotora 5 minutes dzangu. Dai marega nditaure imi muchingonzwa ndiri kufamba sei. Kune vanhu vakafira kunyadzonya. Kune vakafira kutembwe. Vanhu ivavo vakanga vaudzwa kuti tiri kuenda kuZimbabwe kwatichanovhotera vatungamiriri vedu vatinoda. Tiri kuenda kuZimbabwe kwatichanowana minda. Vanhu ivo vafa ivavo vakaendwa kuhondo vachinyeperwa nekuti iko zvino izvi takudzora zvekunyepa kuti tivhote isu separliament.
Point of
Vanyeperwa nani?
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Wakanyeperwa nani wewe?
Order, honorable members.
Point of order.
Honorable members ngatimbonyararai.
Ndinotenda mubati wechigaro. So, vanhu vai?
Point of order. Point of order.
What's your point of order, Honorable?
Point of order.
Honorable, what's your point of order?
Mazvita mubati wechigaro. Mukudhibheta kwaita Honorable Zvaipa muri kuvamisa after every sentence. Zvavari kudhibheta nebhill ratinaro hapana kana chimwe chavataura chiri mubhill. Mubati wechigaro ndanchikumbira kuti kana zvichicha imbovapai mukana vagare pasi vanoverenga zvakanaka.
Honorable Zvaipa, ndikukumbirawo kuti mudhibhete zviri mustatement zvatambotaura. Order, honorable members.
Ndoenda panyaya.
Endai panze kana musuruda order, honorable. Endai panze.
Rega nditaure nyaya yearmy yekuchengetedza constitution. 2017 zvinhu zvamira manyamamire nerongo muno munyika. Army yedu yakatibatsira kuti tigadzirise nyika. Iye zvino izvi ndoona pamutemo army yakuda kudzoserwa kumashure kuti imire sefaucet.
Honorable Zaipa, your time is up, Honorable Zaipa.
Point of order.
Honorable Zaipa, your time is up. Garepas, Honorable Zaipa.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Nofunga kuti kana vanhu vachisimuka vachitaura vataure zvinhu zviripo kwete zviri mupfungwa dzavo kana kuratidza upenzi hwavo. Hapana pakataurwa mubhiri kuti army yafaucet, and it's very offensive. Go withdraw that statement.
Totenda, Honorable Minister. Honorable Zaipa. Honorable Zaipa. Medzai mashoko enyu, Honorable. Kake H5 ndichikutsurai muchirasika kutaura. Medzai mashoko enyu amabva kutaura. Ane chekuita nemasoja muchiti yafaucet. Medzai mashoko enyu.
Madam Speaker, ndanzindakupenga. Ndanzindikuratidza upenzi, handisi kuziva kuti.
Honorable Zaipa, ndati medzai mashoko enyu.
But ini ndanzindiri benzi kana. Benzi rinozivei. Munoda here kuti benzi withdraw. Okay, I withdraw.
Ndikukumbira Honorable Zaipa, mirai kugara pasi. Ndikukumbira mumedze mashoko enyu amataura.
Handina kuti army ifaucet. Let's not reduce army to faucet. Not kuti army ifaucet.
Ndati medzai mashoko enyu, Honorable Zaipa. Ndakateerera pamamuchitaura panapa. Medzai mashoko enyu. Medzai mashoko enyu, Honorable Zaipa.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Garepasi. Honorable Zaipa, sumuke mmedze mashoko enyu.
He has withdrawn one. Ndomedza. Inga ndamedza kare one. Ndamedza.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker. No.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I point of privilege.
Honorable Mashishi.
No, Madam.
Order, Honorable members. Order, Honorable members.
Madam Speaker, let's follow the rules.
Order, Honorable members. Saka makasumuka muri vaviri kuda kuedza kuita sei. Garai pasi, Honorable members. Aiwa, garai pasi, Honorable. Ndikukumbira garai pasi, Honorable.
I can't request a point of privilege. Madam Speaker, ma'am. Minister of Justice.
Garai pasi, andisanda kupai mukana, Honorable.
Ndokumbira mukana. Minister of Justice must.
Chimbogarai pasi, Honorable. Andisanda kupai mukana. Aiwa, garai pasi. Garai pasi, andisanda kupai mukana, Honorable. Ndukukumbira garai pasi, Honorable.
No, Madam Speaker.
Garai pasi, order, Honorable members. Order, Honorable members. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
No.
Garai pasi, Honorable.
I have a point of privilege.
Point of privilege,
Honorable
Madam
Mashishi,
Speaker.
you can take the floor. Honorable Mashishi, you can take the floor.
Point of privilege, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Point of privilege, Madam
Thank
Speaker.
you.
Tinoenda kutoshka kwenda kumbanya.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a point of order. Madam Speaker.
Ndukumbira Honorable Changira garai pasi.
I have a point of order.
hapana chati chataurwa chamunokumbira hapo ilo foda. Hapana chataura. Tiri kubva kuwithdraw, hapana anyone achataura. Garai pasi honorable Tsvangirai. Garai pasi honorable Tsvangirai. Garai pasi honorable Tsvangirai.
But you cannot allow.
Aiwa, garai pasi honorable Tsvangirai.
Tine mapoint of order, regai vatauri.
Honorable Mashishi, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to debate on the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026, which I fully support. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, the Constitution of a nation is not merely a legal document, but a living framework that evolves with the changing needs, aspirations, and realities of society.
On a point of privilege,
Zimbabwe's constitutional development,
Madam Speaker, ma'am, I have a point of
always been guided by the need to strengthen governance.
Honorable.
Speaker, ma'am, I want to refer you to section 148 of our Zimbabwean constitution, which states that members of parliament have freedom of speech in parliament and in all parliamentary committees, and while they may obey the rules and orders of the house concerned, they are not liable to civil or criminal proceedings, arrest or imprisonment, or damages for anything said in, produced before, or submitted to parliament or any of its committees. Madam Speaker,
don't insult our army.
Madam Speaker,
Order, Honorable Togare.
Don't want that.
No.
Order, Honorable Togare.
Imi muri kutuka masoja. Isu hatituki masoja.
Tiri kukumbira kuti minister kana muri munotofanira kudzivirwa. Hatifaniri kutretenwa nekuti constitution yedu iri very clear. No, kana mchida izvozvo handei panze minister.
Honorable Amauso. Order, Honorable Amauso. Honorable Amauso. Kunzwana karikoga kwanzi minister. Karikoga usi minister gara pasi. Honorable.
Karikoga soka kuno karikoga.
Honorable Judy. Mapiwa nani mkana ukuti mutauri. Akusi kubva waka honorable kuno. Aiwa tidaro honorable. Muno batidza speaker kutaura mapiwa nani mkana ukuti mutauri.
Anoda kunodisori panza.
Musadaro. Aiwa musadaro honorable. Musadaro. Makunyanyo behave zvisiri. Honorable Mashishi, you can go ahead. Order, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, ma'am. The Constitution of a nation is not merely a legal document, but a living framework that evolves with the changing needs, aspirations, and realities of the society. Zimbabwe's constitutional development has always been guided by the need to strengthen governance, promote stability, and advance national development. In this context, the proposed Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 represents an important step in refining and modernizing the country's constitutional architecture in line with the governance, experience, and developmental imperatives. Rather than being viewed as a departure from constitutional principles, the amendment should be understood as a constructive reform that seeks to improve the institutional efficiency, enhance policy continuity, and strengthen the effectiveness of state institutions. When examined carefully and objectively, the amendment offers several merits that justify its adoption. Madam Speaker, I want to start with the clause. I want to start off with clause number 2 of transferring voter registration and management of the voters' roll from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to the Registrar General. Given that the Registrar General already serves as the custodian of vital civil records, including birth and death certificates, as well as national IDs data, the transition would enhance administrative efficiency, accuracy, and centralized accountability. Therefore, furthermore, it would eliminate a duplication of roles, minimize data management inconsistencies, and ultimately strengthen the integrity and credibility of the voters' roll. When responsibilities are clearly defined among institutions, the amendment helps to reduce duplication of functions and potential conflicts of mandates. Strong institutions, essentially for effective governance, and these reforms contribute to building more coherent and responsive state architecture. I therefore support Clause 2 of the Amendment Bill number 3. Madam Speaker, changing the election of the President from a direct public vote to election by Parliament. This is a progressive element within the amendment as the proposal to enhance the role of Parliament in the process of electing national leadership. A parliamentary-based approach to leadership selection can strengthen representative democracy by ensuring that elected representatives who embody the will of the people play a central role in determining executive leadership. This model is widely used in several successful democracies across the world and often encourages stronger collaboration between the executive and the legislative branches of government. It also reinforces the principle of collective responsibility and ensures that leaders remain accountable to Parliament. I strongly support Clause 3 of the Amendment Bill number 3. Madam Speaker, ma'am, the extension of the electoral cycle of President and members of Parliament from 5 to 7 years and its application to the incumbent. Longer governance cycles can play a critical role in promoting stability and ensuring continuity in national development programs. Governments require adequate time to plan, implement, evaluate long-term policies that address complex socio-economic challenges. Short electoral cycles frequently lead to disruption in policy implementation as governments shift their focus towards campaign periods and political transitions. Therefore, by extending the term of office, the amendment creates a governance environment that allows leaders to concentrate on delivering developmental programs without constant interruption caused by frequent elections. This approach aligns with the broader national vision of achieving sustainable economic transformation and long-term prosperity. In many countries around the world, longer political terms have proven effective in enabling government to pursue strategic reforms and infrastructure development projects that require consistent leadership and policy stability. And this amendment will reduce electoral costs and administrative distractions. Furthermore, fewer elections mean fewer disruptions to government operations. During election periods, public institutions often shift from service delivery to political processes. As such, the proposed amendment therefore allows public institutions to operate more effectively and maintain uninterrupted service delivery to its citizens. I support clause 4, 9, and 10 of the Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026. Madam Speaker, ma'am, the increase in the membership of Senate from 80 to 90 by including the 10 presidential appointees. The proposal to expand certain legislative structures aim to allow greater participation of individuals with diverse expertise and backgrounds in the legislative process. The approach recognizes that governance benefits from contributions of professionals, technocrats, and community representatives who can enrich the policy debates with specialized knowledge and practical insights in the Senate. I support the amendment on clause 8. Madam Speaker, ma'am, the transfer of delimitation functions from ZEC to the new commission. This will significantly alleviate the heavy workload currently borne by ZEC. The dedicated entity will foster greater fairness, transparency, accessibility throughout the electoral process, and such an institution split will cultivate technical specialization in the complex of drawing constituency boundaries, thereby directly addressing historical shortcomings in the ZEC's handling of the previous limitation exercise. I support the amendment proposed. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, Zimbabwe's constitutional journey has always been guided by the principle of building a democratic system that is responsive to the needs of its people. The Constitutional Bill number 3 should therefore be viewed not as a departure from democratic ideals, but rather a constructive refinement of the constitutional framework to ensure that it remains relevant, effective, and capable of supporting national progress. Madam Speaker, I fully support the CAB3 and recommend it to be adopted by Parliament. I thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that debate to now adjourn.
It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the debate is adjourned. To what date, Honorable Minister?
Tomorrow, Madam Speaker, ma'am. Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. It has been moved that the House do now adjourn. Is there any debate? I put the question that the House do now adjourn. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the House is adjourned. To what date, Honorable Minister?
Tomorrow, Madam Speaker, ma'am.
The House is now adjourned.